Hey, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about how our space is a mirror for what's going on in our minds and how so many of us have these habits around our homes and our workspaces, etc., that we don't even realize we're doing. It's kind of unconscious. And to kind of unpack what that means about what's going on in here, and also how we can, instead of defaulting to certain habits in space, how to strategically use our space instead to pursue those goals and dreams that we really, really want to achieve. So let's jump into our presentation for today. And in case you're new here, I'm Katie, and I focus on soul aligned spaces. I work with solopreneurs, highly sensitive, ADHD, retreat leader folks, etc. And I have about 15 years of experience, actually closer to 20 years of experience in interior design, space planning, and the like, and over 10 years experience in personal development. And what I've done in my practice here is combine those elements to help you use personal development, professional development in your space to help it grow you and grow your dreams. So if any of that resonates with you, you are probably in the right place, and welcome. Okay. What parts of your room reflects how you feel inside? Actually, let's just start at the very beginning, because we are talking about how your space is a mirror and why that matters. So I want you to just kind of pause for a second. Just kind of get settled in. Preferable if you're able to watch this from the space that you are concerned about. Maybe it's your home office, maybe it's your workspace that you drive to every day, maybe it's your retreat center, whatever that might be. I'd recommend flagging this video and coming back to it later if you're not physically in that space. And if you can't physically be in that space, just do your best to visualize yourself in that space. And I want you to just pause for a second and consider how your space makes you feel inside and what parts of your space stick out when you think about those feelings. Okay. Now, here's an example. If I'm feeling consistently overwhelmed when I'm in a space, I am going to look at how is it set up? Do I have too many things going on visually? And that can even be, we all have different tolerance and preference for that, by the way. That is not like something that everyone has like a blanket. Like I don't write a prescription for that, if you catch my meaning there. I don't write prescriptions in general because I'm not a doctor. But as a designer, I wouldn't prescribe, for example, or recommend, the certain number of objects in a room for every single person. It's going to vary. Your tolerance and your preference for the number of items in your room is going to vary person to person. What's cluttered to one person is magnificent to another. So this is really a personal activity. So I'm going to really feel into what's the number of objects in the space. Does that feel good to me? The colors in the space, do they feel good to me? Do they feel overwhelming? Do they feel out of line with my branding or really just my soul? Is there something off with that? Right. There might be clutter, and actually I have saved some clutter for you specifically for this video. I have some laundry I have to put away. My dryer broke, and so I've been going to the local laundromat recently. Thank goodness I won't have to do that very much longer. But yeah, so I have some laundry to put away. That's kind of a clutter thing. I've got old mail to look at from like a week ago. Otherwise, the number of objects in my space resonates with me. It feels good. It feels like a happy balance of colors and objects and those kinds of things. I would like to do some things to the walls, the floors, as far as like wallpapers and that kind of stuff. But as far as the number of objects and what I'm doing right now, that feels good. So I kind of have a note of how my space is reflecting my internal state. Right. So my internal state is saying, okay, it's a little bit cluttered out there, but it's not too bad. And there are some things I'd like to do to this space, but there's not a lot that isn't working. I will say there's one thing that isn't working that well, and that is one of my faucets has like a how do I explain this? It's like, I don't know if you've ever had this issue where the sprayer like stays on and it like doesn't turn off immediately. So I need to fix the sprayer in my kitchen. But otherwise, everything's working great. So when you think about it, those to-dos in your space end up becoming a to-do list. It's not just like you have, these things to do and you just, it exists somewhere in your mind. And where it exists somewhere in your mind as a to-do list, it can sometimes feel distracting from the things we really want to just fully dive into and give the most of ourselves to. So once you've taken a moment to kind of reflect on how your space makes you feel inside and why that might be happening, I would encourage you to take a moment and write that down or email it to yourself or whatever you do to note the things you get to look at. But so for example, I know that I'm going to feel a little bit better. And like I said, my space isn't super cluttered. I feel pretty good about that, but I do have some stuff to put away. I do have some mails to go through, and I do have a little bit of clutter and unfixed home issues. So I'm going to feel a little bit better once those things are handled. And that's important to know, because me feeling good in my space, feeling grounded in my space, and not feeling distracted or pulled in different directions in my space, I want to feel centered, grounded, and ready to lock in. Handling those things is always going to be good. And this isn't about perfectionism, by the way. This is not about perfectionism. It is a self-love and self-care activity. For example, if you know that you get your best work done when there aren't distractions and when you could really, really focus, you could even choose to clear, like let's say you have a home office, for example, and you have some things in it and it needs to get taken care of. Move them into another space. Move them into another space so you don't have the visual reminders around you all the time of the things you have to do, because it will take away oftentimes from what you're trying to stay focused on. So if you have, for example, that home office, try to shift things into another space so you're not visually distracted by them, right? Make yourself a note in your calendar to look at them later, or however it is you normally schedule your tasks and activities. But that will really help. And if you are working in a space where you have to drive to get to your workspace, you might look at, how can I pick up this area? What can come home? What, might be better suited for a collaborative space? Like, oh, I've got my own this, that, and the other. Maybe I could share it with some of my office mates, right? If you have a retreat center, you might want to look at some of the storage areas you have. Are they large enough to fit all the items that you have? Do you need to build something out? Do you need to maybe buy some new cabinets or something, even temporarily to just organize any clutter that you might have? These things can really help us focus. And also, if we have clients in our space that we are supporting, it can really help them focus too. We have our experience oftentimes to consider, and then sometimes we have the experience of our clients to consider as well. Part of that is how they perceive us and our branding, and it's also partly what's going to make them hopefully feel a little bit more comfortable and focused and those kinds of things. So you really kind of have to think about what is the work that you do and what is the energy that you want to bring to your space, and where is that good and where is that off. And there are some temporary changes you can make, like I said, about the clutter, about reviewing items, about putting away laundry if that happens to sit in your office space sometimes, or whatever it might be, or moving it somewhere else. And then there's some more long-term things. Right? So sometimes those long-term things, or they're not going to get done this week, they might get done in a few weeks, or etc. You can always note those in your tasks and to-dos and get those done, or hire someone to help you get those done too, depending on what they are. So it's doing the best with what we have, so that your physical space is a better reflection of what you have going on in here, or what you want to have going on in here. So this doesn't need to be default. Let's use this as a strategy to get this where we want it. When I say this, I mean your brain, your mind. Okay. So yeah, what is coming up for you? What is in your space right now? Oops, there's a slight typo there. What is in your space right now that feels like a physical or tangible to-do list? Because that's what it ends up being, right? And what about that to-do list might be distracting you from focusing on your goals and dreams that require that 100% from you? So again, this might be a mini journaling activity. I would invite you to really sit with the gap that's between where you want your space to be versus where it is, and where you want your mindset to be versus where that is. Both of these things they impact each other constantly. So let's set your space up for your success. Okay. I want to close with this quote, a Hermetic proverb. If you are into the universal laws or the spiritual stuff, as I have been for many years, this is a good one. As within, so without. Our internal state is reflected in our external state and vice versa. So let's take an opportunity to shift what's going on out here and bring it here. Okay. I hope that was helpful. Thanks for joining, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.